Well, welcome back to another video log of my Zenith Cruzer. I'm Mark Pensenstadler from zenithowner.com, and today's video is going to be on how I am mounting my leading edge recognition light on the wing. All right, the first step in mounting this light is protecting the clear lens. And I've taken this lens and I've wrapped the inside and outside with blue painter's tape just to protect it. Because the next step after that is going to be to cut it. Now I've drawn these lines on here. This dotted line is where I'm going to cut the lens. So that's 2 inches on the end that I'm cutting off. And everything's just kind of a guesstimate. There's the light there. So you can see that little light. I don't need that whole lens. These lines here, or this area here, is where the lens will mount under the skin. So from this line to this line will be the visible lens part on the wing. So that gives me just a couple inches or 1.5 inches on either side of the light, which should be plenty. So I told you on the last video that I bought all these pieces from Zenith Aircraft. Those are the 2 ribs, the lens, the light I got on Amazon.com. So obviously I'm sure you can guess this is how it all goes together. And I just have to make the back plate for it. I'm going to make that out of this scrap piece of aluminum I have. One of the advantages of building a Vans RV is you have tons of scrap aluminum left over. So I'll cut the back plate out of that. To do that, I'm going to have to make a couple bends on it. So I went to Harbor Freight and I bought a cheap 18-inch bending brake. This was, I think, $37. So I'm going to draw out the size I need on here, cut it out, and bend it on here, and I'll show you how all that goes together. Here's something I'm thinking about as I'm designing this. These are the 2 ribs that are going to get riveted into the wing, obviously, and you can see the lens behind it. But when this is riveted in the wing, you want to be able to remove that lens. It'll have a couple screws on the top there and a couple on the bottom. So what my thinking is I'm going to mount these ribs 3/4 of an inch away from the side of the lens. That way, once I undo the screws, that gives me some wiggle room in the wing to where I can maybe move this over and then angle it out and then take it out of the wing. So it might be something to think about. So in this case, it looks like I need to mount these ribs 9 3/4 inches apart. And so that's how long I need to make the cutout on the back plate. All right, we're moving along. Here is the pattern that I need to cut out on this aluminum. You can see I have 4 tabs that'll get bent 90 degrees all along the edges. Actually, the top and bottom will be less than 90 degrees because it's going to match the airfoil of the wing. And I wanted to show you these ribs here. You know, as they go in the wing like this, or I should say like this back plate is made to rivet on the back of these ribs. But I don't want mine that deep. So I'm going to mount mine. I'm going to take these tabs here, bend them 90 degrees, and then rivet it to the rib. This line I drew on here is where the aluminum will sit like this. So it'll go on here like this at that line. So this distance here, the thickness of the back plate matches this thickness here. All right, I have now cut out the plate. You can cut this out with tin snips, or I prefer to use a bandsaw because you get a nicer cut. The next step is to cut off the corners here so I can make the individual tabs. Before I do that, I'm going to drill a relief hole though right in the corner. Well, it only took a couple minutes to cut out. Here it is. You can see all the tabs are cut out. Notice that all the corners are rounded. All the edges are finished. See that? So now, that is the back plate. The fun part now is using the bending brake to try to get a perfect bend. All right, check it out. Here it is, all done. All the corners are rounded. Edges, ow, just kidding. Edges are finished, they're nice and smooth. I've got the hole drilled there for the corners. Now the trick is to use my bending brake and get nice bends on here. This bending brake actually works really nice. However, I did kind of discover a problem, and I'm not going to be able to bend these because it's going to hit on here. This tab will hit on this part here as it comes up. So I may have to do this the old-fashioned way and put 2 blocks of wood in there and bend it over on the vise like that. But that brake sure worked really nice for those 2 bends. You can see they're absolutely perfect. So I'll bend these 2 here. The ribs will get mounted like that. And then I'll fit it inside the wing. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut 2 pieces of wood. And on one of them here, I don't know if you can see, but see how I sanded the corner just to make it a little bit rounded? Then what I'll do is I'll sandwich this in here. Actually, it'll go, I think, this way. And then this one here, like that. And I'll bend it over in the vise. All right, so I'm showing you how I do this, but keep in mind I am no master sheet metal worker. So there may be an easier or better way to do this that I don't know about. Now that doesn't give me a 90-degree bend, so what I'm going to do is just raise this up a hair on here. And I'm going to tap it over with a hammer to try to get a perfect 90-degree bend. Look at that, perfect. That's 90 degrees. Here's how it's going to go on the rib. Kind of just like that. All right, same thing for the other side. Here we go. Gonna bend it down. I'm just gonna try to tap it right from there. Perfect. It's 90 degrees. Here it is. This X I drilled on here is a center, and the wire that goes through the light is exactly in the center of the light, so I can position the light on there. I'll drill that hole and position it. We're starting to look good here, guys. There it is right there, light's mounted. Well, it's not mounted, it's just drilled and put in there. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill some holes in the side, match them up to here, where I wanna place that, rivet this together, and then do the other side, and then this will be ready to fit into the wing.